You meet a Muslim and you say Jesus is the Son of God. And a Muslim say, how can you say Jesus is the Son of God? Does God have a wife? Then you tell him, don't talk like that. He says, no. You say Jesus is the Son of God. For a man to have a son, him and his wife must sleep together. And for you to say God has a son, what you're simply saying is that God had carnal knowledge of a woman. That's why it doesn't make sense. When you say to a Muslim that Jesus is the Son of God, it doesn't make sense. Because God shouldn't have a wife. And God shouldn't have children by natural birth. So if a Muslim now asks you that and you can't answer that, you can't evangelize. He has paralyzed your witness. In fact, if you joke, he will add another one and make you start doubting whether you're really a Christian. So let me answer it before I proceed. So in case you meet them after tonight, you can look at them and just be eating granite while you answer. Why is Jesus called the Son of God? He is called the Son of God because Jesus is God who became a man to save man. So since Jesus is God compressed in mortality, Jesus is God trapped in time, Jesus is God trapped in matter. Trapped in matter. So when deity becomes trapped in humanity, the amalgamation of deity with humanity is called Son of God. It's not Son of God as in natural birth. It's Son of God as in amalgamation of deity with humanity. How do you prove that? John 1:12. As many as receive deity in their humanity, he gives them power to be called sons of God. So why is Jesus Son of God? Because Jesus is God who became a man. So when God became trapped in matter, that make is called Son of God. It's not like God gave birth to it's that God stepped down. God stepped down. He stepped down. Because God couldn't have come to earth as God. He would shatter the planet. He's too much for this planet. Too much. I was preaching somewhere and I told them, God doesn't live in heaven. He doesn't need heaven. Because heaven is a planet. Heaven is too small to contain God. God doesn't live in heaven. And somebody said, why did you say that? I said, because that's exactly what the Bible teaches. God doesn't live in heaven. And somebody says, can you walk it? Why not? Why not? Genesis 1:1. Put it up. Can we read like a mass choir? Genesis 1:1. Can we read 1, 2, go? In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So there was a day called beginning. So before that day called beginning, when God created heaven and earth, before that day, where was God? Wherever God was, that is where God is. Because he says, I am the Lord, I change it. Am I teaching now? So now somebody says, so since God doesn't live in heaven, number one, why was heaven created? I will answer in a few minutes. But before that, then where does God really live? Well, Brother Paul gave us an idea. Brother Paul said, God is the immortality that dwelleth in unapproachable light, which no man has ever seen nor will ever see. Where God dwells is unapproachable. When you look, it's light that blinds your eye, so you take away your eyes. Then somebody asked me, so then if God doesn't live in heaven, why did Jesus say, pray after this manner, our Father which art in heaven? Good question. But the bad thing was that the guy was angry. He didn't ask me like a student who wants to learn. He asked me like a professor who is rebuking a student. So I said to him, when people like us talk, don't ask us questions with arrogance. Because before we said what we said, we took time to think through the process. So do you want me to teach you? Or what do you want? It's okay, teach me. I said, hey, that's what you should have said. Don't harass me. Ask me humbly, because to learn you need meekness. Hey, Agaba. So why did Jesus say, pray after this manner, our Father which art in heaven? Can I answer that? John chapter 3 verse 10. Let the Bible answer it. John 3:10. Jesus answered and said unto him, art thou a master of Israel, and knowest not these things? Nicodemus, he was talking to Nick at night. Next verse. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and you receive not our witness. Next verse. If I have told you of earthly things like born again, and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? Now tomorrow morning we shall be talking heavenly things, to be very brutal here in the morning, 9 o'clock. Okay. Now, so Jesus is saying, if I'm using born again, which are earthly illustrations, and you're confused, supposing I use Zamunku Tulutu. Are you still here? Next verse. Just follow. Next verse. Igamanaga. And no man hath ascended up to heaven. No man. Yesterday we said to Enoch, Elijah didn't go to heaven. Jesus is establishing it here. No man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven. Now, I need your intelligence to come alive now, because something is about to break out if you follow. Even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. He didn't say the Son of Man, which was. He said the Son of Man, which is. That means even though I am with you here now, I am still in heaven. Meaning I operate dual citizenship. So meaning when the Jesus here said, pray our Father in heaven, he was saying pray to me. But he couldn't tell them pray to me, because if he had told them pray to me, they will kill him. And he doesn't want to die before he's died. So he said, just pray to our Father in heaven. Am I preaching? If you understand the shout, I hear, I hear. Now back to Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 1. For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. Next verse. But we preach. Shout it like you know what you're talking. We preach unto the Christ crucified. We preach Christ. The power is in the cross. Unto the Jews, a stumbling block, the cross, and unto the Greeks, foolishness. Why is the cross a stumbling block to a Jewish man? Because the cross was an abomination. The only people you put on the cross are people who are to serve capital punishment. These are criminals that are unrepentant. When a criminal is unrepentant and a disaster to the society, the only way they used to judge him in Israel was cross. Deuteronomy 21:22. Let me show you that. Deuteronomy 21:22. Watch. This was the law of Moses. Deuteronomy 21:22. Bless your heart on the computer. And if a man have committed a sin worthy of death, and he be to be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree. Next verse. His body shall not remain all night upon that tree, but thou shalt in any wise bury him that day. For he that is hanged is accursed of God, that thy land be not defiled, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. So when they brought Jesus to Pilate, Pilate said, gentlemen, do you know what it means to crucify a man? This man, as far as I've done investigation, I've not seen anything wrong in him. Okay, wait. Should I release Barabbas? Because Barabbas was a notorious criminal. Should I release Barabbas so this man can go free? They say no. Instead, give us Barabbas. Let him be stealing from us, but kill this man. Why must they kill him? What has he done? He healed your sick. He gave eyes to the blind. He has never broken a law. When they stop him to pay tax, he paid tax. He's not a criminal. But in his mission was to pay sin for criminals. So when they were condemning him, they didn't know what they were doing. That's what Corinthians will say, had the princes of this world known, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. That means they were killing Jesus without knowing why. If they knew, they wouldn't have killed him. they will have given him protection and kept him alive, and there will be no salvation. So that is why in the wisdom of God, he turned the cross to be foolishness to the wise. I don't know if I'm teaching here. So now, why is the cross a stumbling block to the Jew? A man that dies on the cross is a criminal. He cannot be a savior. He can't be a savior. How can a man who died on the cross, how can you come and preach to me that this guy who died the other day on a cross, where only capital punishment is given to criminals that are unrepentant, that's why he died, then you now come and tell me he is my savior? It doesn't make sense. My mind can't take it. That's the Jewish man. Then to the Greek, to tell them that the cross paid for your sin does not make intellectual sense. To the Jews, foolishness. To the Greek, a stumbling block. But unto us that are saved, Christ, the wisdom and the power of God. Somebody shout, I hear you. So the message of the cross, therefore, is the message of his death, his burial, and his resurrection. Now listen carefully. That death was not his death. That death was my death. That burial was not his burial. That burial was my burial. He was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. By his stripes we are healed. He took my place. I take his place.